Okay. Thank you, Jean, for doing this. Hope you're well and healthy. Please let the listeners know who you are and what do you do.
Mhm. Sure. Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Jing Wu, and I'm the co-founder of Q Factory. We make the collapsible, reusable water bottle, the Q bottle, as you may see on social media. We started the business with, I started the business with my husband, so it's us two. And before this company, we were actually already working together on other projects and startups. So we were in this, we were sort of in the live entertainment and the music industry. We're working on the startup. It's a website kind of similar to StubHub, where music fans, people can connect and sell and buy tickets. We were trying because we just thought the StubHub is way too for ticket scalpers, and we wanted to have some service that's for actual fans. You know, say if you can make for events, you can find a different person to sell the ticket to with really low cost. But during that time, obviously we had to travel a lot, and we went to a lot of live events and music festivals. And that's the place that water is always like number one important. But you would just have to buy the bottle there. Like you have to buy the water there, and it's overpriced. It's really expensive. And after this festival, all you see is empty bottles everywhere. And we're like, okay, all these festivals are so beautiful, and they're usually at parks and like huge venues, and you had such a good time. But then after that, you see the ugly, aftermath, and then you're like, oh, okay, like why can't we just bring our own water bottles so then we don't have to buy and spend a bunch of money on the water, and we won't create so much waste and after the festival. So that was like when we start to look for a product like Q Bottle, but obviously, like many stories from the founders, that we weren't able to find anything we like. The reasons were, being reusable water bottle is not new. Like there's so many bottles out there, right? Probably everybody has a water bottle, but they're not meant for really, to bring with anywhere. Like you won't want to bring your really giant, giant but durable insulated bottle to a music festival. One thing is they might not want, they might not let you bring it in, but also you don't want to have like an extra item where you want to like be lightweight and have fun. So, and another thing is there are some other alternatives. They're more like a little flask, like those little like paper plastic thing. You kind of you roll it up and you refill it and you drink out of it. It's kind of like IV bags, sort of. It's not really reusable. You wouldn't really use it over and over and again, and it's not easy to use. It's quite messy, and it's impossible to clean, and it's ugly. It doesn't fit in anywhere at a festival like Coachella where everybody's fashionista. Like you can't. I would never want to use that. So then we want to make something that can do it all. It looks good. It's easy to use. It's environmentally friendly. It's lightweight. It's blah blah blah. Like it can be all that. So then we were just like thinking about how we should make that. So we first off we need to decide on the material, because the material really would make would decide like the whole direction of the product. Because do you want to make it soft? Do you want to make it hard? Because we want it to be compact and packable and portable, so it needs to be flexible, right? If you use stainless steel, for example, or any kind of metal, it will be hard to be small and lightweight and unflexible. And we know we do not want to use any plastic. That's just number one thing. We do not want to make any more plastic related things. Doesn't matter if reusable or not, just because that industry is just even if you're making reusable ones, it's it's still part of the industry, and it's petroleum based. So then we know that, and we just thought that silicone is the perfect thing for this. So then and from there, we just we figure out how we want it to look, what we want it to do. And slowly over iterations and changes, and then eventually we came up with the design that we have right now. And I think what is really for me personally special about this product is the spiral look and design to it. It's so different, and right away when we first saw the first sample, the prototype, we're like, oh wow, this is cool. So then that was almost 4 years ago now, and from there we launched a Kickstarter campaign, as many companies do, because that's really a great place to get your first feedback and response from the market, because you don't test the water sort of without going to like an actual trade show, but to like mass audience and customers. So we did that, and we were the most backed water bottle in Kickstarter history at the time.
So what was that
really
final amount raised?
I think it was a little over 600,000.
Yep.
Somewhere. Yep. Mm-hmm. But I think we got like 13,000 backers or something like that. So 13,000 people have pledged for the project. So that was really exciting for us, because we had no idea. Like we thought.
How'd you fulfill that?
It was a nightmare. Like it was crazy, because what happened was we wanted to catch the holiday rush. So we told people we can deliver before Christmas. And that was way too ambitious. But we want, even though for Kickstarter, people delay all the time. You're not obligated to, meet your promise, but we want to, because we told people, okay, and a lot of people did buy this for the Christmas present. So we want to do, we want to try our best to deliver everything before that. So we hired a third party logistics company. You have to, right? Like if you have 13,000 orders that you have to deliver over, like in the course of a month or two, with just two people. Like realistically, you just gonna have to either hire somebody or find somebody else to do it. So we that includes international orders too. Meaning people all over in Europe, in Asia, Africa, Australia. So that we at that point we had no idea how shipping works. Like I've never really gone to the post office. Like I don't have a FedEx account. Like we had no idea. But luckily that's why I highly recommend the Kickstarter community, because within that community there's so many resources. So luckily, if you're on there, some companies will approach you. You will get emails and saying, "Hey, we saw you got so many orders. You want us to help you fulfill them?"
Is that how you is that how you decided on your third party logistics partner?
Yeah. So first of all, we used a company called Backer Kit. So what they do is they help you to consolidate all your orders off of Kickstarter, because Kickstarter, they only give you spreadsheets. That's it. It's not interactive. It's not really workable, but Backer Kit kind of consolidate that and make it interactive, so people can like confirm their order, put their shipping address, make changes to it. And you can select things by the SKU, so it will be much easier for you to fulfill. And they sort of had their own community, and they recommended some logistic company to us that can handle both the U.S. and the international orders, and they're based in Hong Kong, so they can ship all our international orders out of Hong Kong, which is nice because our products are manufactured in China, so and that just makes it much easier.
How'd you find your manufacturer?
So all right, so that's a tricky question because, but that's I think that's the first question that because as much as we like to, it is rather difficult to manufacture anything in the USA, and we try to do so, but
it's difficult manufacturing anything, period, in my opinion, US or not. Keep going.
Well, for certain things, sure, right? For example, the pharmaceutical industry, like that's dominant. The U.S. is so dominant in that. But things like household goods or miscellaneous consumer goods, like it's just not possible. So, and China, especially for silicone products, I would say like over 90% of all silicone products are manufactured in China. So you're gonna get the best quality and lowest pricing and the best technical support if you go to China. So we know that, and luckily, we're Chinese. I was born and raised in China. I speak fluent Mandarin. So that I'm from the north, so it's a city called Harbin. I don't know if people know that, but not Beijing or Shanghai.
I've been to Shanghai and neighboring, but very nice.
Yeah.
How did you promote the Kickstarter?
Okay, so I made the entire Kickstarter page. I wrote all the captions and descriptions, and and we took the pictures and the videos. Like everything was done in house.
Love that.
Even though it looks like even though people would ask, what marketing company did you find to do your campaign? I'm like, I didn't know any marketing companies, and people didn't have money for that. So I just simply look at maybe like 50 other campaigns and see what other people did, and I just do the similar thing. I mean, honestly, like that's just the best way to put together so in a short amount of time. A lot of so that's why I want to stress Kickstarter is great because it actually has its own like a huge amount of traffic. So if you launch on there and you do it in a smart way, like the correct way, you're gonna get a lot of traffic right away. And if people like your project and you get back, and they would push you more forward, and you'll get more traffic. So it's kind of like a self-boosting system. All the websites do that, right? Like Instagram, like the higher engagement posts will get more people to see. So similar that way. So at the first maybe like a week, it was just all organic traffic. We did not my Facebook has 150 friends. Like I can't promote it anywhere myself. So it's just all organic. And after a week or so, some marketing company approached us and offered to help. So we did some paid social ads after the first. I would say after the first 2 weeks. Because the whole campaign is about 4 weeks. So yeah.
What were the first audiences that you guys found success with, and what type of targeting were you doing?
So actually my husband did most of the marketing, so I only know the rough, like the very general kind of things. But obviously you look at your product and you see who would be the people that would buy these kind of products. So we tried outdoors. We tried people that like certain brands, like for example, people like REI, or people like Whole Foods or that type of the lifestyle kind of demographics that we figured, and then the age, obviously, from 18 to 49. But actually later on, we found out that people from 55 to 65, we also get a lot of customers from 55 to 65. That it makes a lot of sense now because those people hate to carry yet the purchasing power, but also they cannot, they're not capable of carrying just one more thing. So
Understood.
so we did that, and we did really broad audience. I think the first at the testing stage of anything, you need to make it broad. That's the only way for you to see which specific, because some might work, some might not. So you have to make it broad so you can pick out the ones that work better than others. So, and over time, you have, I think for any new products or new campaigns, you need to give it at least a month, a full month or two to see like really who are responding well to these. If you test something for a week and you didn't make any money, and you say, oh, this doesn't work, I mean, that's not necessarily true. You just have to give it a time, and now you have to give machine time to learn too, because Facebook and algorithms, they're working on their algorithms to make it better too, to know people better and show it to the right people. But yeah, social media was definitely the key here. And what happened was we also gone viral a little bit. So our video of the bottle collapsing and all the feature little clips got shared by lots of the viral accounts, like Unilab or like Laughing Squid, or those little accounts that people follow for memes, for funny videos. So we got shared. I think overall we got maybe about 50 million views or something like that. So that was,
that's insane.
Also
50 million views on what? On
Facebook. Yeah,
on Facebook.
And, yeah.
Very nice. So what are you doing now? You're off of Kickstarter, you're on your own.com, looks like you're on Amazon, you're in brick and mortar stores also. Maybe talk a little bit about how did you leave Kickstarter post fulfillment? What did you do? How did you start essentially redirecting traffic to your .com, and how did you build out your brand?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad that you brought it up, because that's also another thing I wanted to say is Kickstarter is a good start, but it's just Kickstart. It doesn't make anybody a brand. It doesn't make anybody a business, sustainable business, or a real company. So you have to know what to do after that. And that's actually what I do most of the time is brick and mortar. And for our product, it works well online, but I think it could do better even in person, offline, in the retail stores, because you kind of have to see it, to play with it, to touch it, to feel it, to understand. A lot of people see it on social media, just like a picture. They don't really know what it is, so they couldn't really figure out. So what we did was, trade shows, right? So it was so funny when I first started doing this. I go to shows myself a lot of times, because we don't have money to hire employees, and I did not know what a trade show was, and I did not know there are still trade shows out there. To me, it's just so dinosaur. Oh, do you go to a market and you buy there? But the first time I went there, I was so my mind was blown.
Where did you go?
Now.
Okay, New York now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go premium right out of the gate. That's a good show.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so glad I went to that one, because like you said, there are smaller shows, regional shows, there are national shows, international shows, huge shows. And I happened to go to a like one of the biggest ones, right? In here, and I went to New York Now summer show, and I was like, oh my god, like did they just put an entire store inside the convention center? And all the products there were so interesting and so beautiful, and I met with other business owners, which was super helpful. So I was able to talk to other people how they started, just like what we're doing right now, and learn so much about the industry, the wholesale, the distribution, the supply chain. This is the entire different industry. Like then you see, oh, how everything made it to the shelf. Like where did everything come from? And then the cost too. What is keystone? What is margin? And I was just like start learning all that by myself. And then because we're importing, so there's import, export, all that stuff as well. But I was interested. I was excited. I liked, you know, everything was like just really interesting to me.
How were the results? How were the buyers? Were they nice to you?
I was, yeah. So they were super nice, and we actually got a couple of our biggest customers there. We met New York MoMA there, and who is still our customer right now. It's been 4 years. And I was just like, oh my god, like I love MoMA. MoMA is like the coolest museum
For sure.
in the country, and yeah, and their store want to sell our bottles. Wow, like I was just like really flattered and honored. And then we met the Brahmins, which was interesting. I haven't heard of them, but they, you know, they were like, oh wow, these are really cool. And we met American Eagle outfitters there, and they actually placed an order. So it was a huge success. Very consistent with the Kickstarter campaign, like how people react on Kickstarter. That's how people react at the trade show for us. So I was like, oh, I need to go to more shows. Like I need
let's
to
stick let's stick there for a second, because you brought up something interesting, and I don't know if I ever hear anyone else talk about it. You mentioned New York MoMA, and you mentioned American Eagle. American Eagle's a brand. They have retail stores. Talk about the differences between working with a retailer that's in the business of sourcing product, and talk about a brand that's really in the business of selling its own product, but they can always find complementary product to go along, or cross-sell or upsell their customer. Maybe talk about like if there was any difference in the sales process, the fulfillment process, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I think it really depends on the buyers a lot of the time too, and what departments they're buying for. Could be very different. For New York, for museums and, you know, more upscale independent stores, like you know, New York MoMA, their buyers been there for maybe like forever, right? They you know, once you work for a museum, you're there like for entire life, and they have very specific merchandising. They have very specific things they look for. They often stick with whoever they work for. They don't really switch around. They you know, they like to try new things, but the new things is probably 10% of their buying. So unless they really like something that's new, they won't you know, they won't want to try it. So I guess that we really caught the buyer's attention, and because of all their things are design focused, right? If there's no design, it's not interesting, it's not special, it's not going to get to the museum, just because people are looking for special things. So I guess it really caught their attention, and they love, you know, they really love the design. And also our mission, because museums, they're mission driven as well most of the time, because they're nonprofit themselves. So they want to support businesses that have a mission behind it. Either it's fair trade or eco-friendly or something. So that's also something they consider. So for New York MoMA, like you just have to make really beautiful things, and really nice and visually appealing. And get lucky, really, because you don't know which aisle they walk down. But For American Eagle though, I remember the buyers were two really young ladies. They're really young girls, probably in their early 20s. Because that's kind of the brand. The brand is for young females, right? The teenagers or college girls. So they see this differently. They think it's interesting. They think it looks pretty cool. And they were buying for accessories, so it's not really their main buying thing, but it's kind of just a novelty thing that they just try funny things and impulsive buy. But the things in common about these different buyers are the bigger the company is, the longer it's gonna take for you to get in anywhere. Like for MoMA, I want to say six to 10 months from me meeting the buyer to shipping out the first PO.
I believe it.
I think, yeah, similar to American Eagle, it just takes a long time. So you have to be, consistent, and you have to follow up, and yeah, sometimes even if people seem not interested or they gone silent, doesn't mean they're not interested anymore. They yeah yeah. So but I think the experience working with both companies are positive, especially MoMA. We don't. American Eagle was more kind of like a temporary one-time thing because they like to switch around. But MoMA is becoming long-term, and we actually sell other MoMAs to the MoMA in Hong Kong, the MoMA in San Francisco, because they're like kind of like a franchise. So
how many retail doors are you in approximately, and how many retail doors do you think, what's going to happen with COVID with the retail thing?
Right now, well, before the COVID thing, we were in about 1,500 doors.
Yep.
And our goal originally for this year is to get to more, 3,000 or more stores. If we want to be ambitious, we can even try it 5,000. But now with COVID, there's no shows that I know that's gonna happen until August or even October, or even next year. So we need to figure out other ways. But I think a lot of people are turning online. I think for us, the goal is to support our existing customers. We want to make sure, our 1,500 doors, we can help them as much as we can. We talk to them. We make sure. We want to know what people, how people are doing, what people are doing. We want them to know that we're here. And then, trying to get more customers. But I think my existing customers will always be my priority. It's okay if I don't get as many new accounts or getting to more stores, but at least I have a base, and I want to, keep their relationship with them.
I like that. Well, yeah. I think we covered a lot. What am I missing out? What have I not covered that maybe you might want to touch on?
I guess just talking to, when I talk to people that either want to start their business or working on their ideas, because over the course of the past 4 years, I've met many entrepreneurs and business owners, and you would talk to them, and then you would instant relate to them, because a lot of things they feel that just you understand so much easier. But I think many people said it before too, but I want to say it personally too, is even though it seems like I started a business, and it seems to be, it's going well, and it seems to be successful. We now have, 10 employees now. We have our own warehouse and office. But it wasn't easy. It didn't just happen. And I want to say we got lucky too. Like the whole Kickstarter thing, it was still, pretty unreal. Like it just doesn't happen every day. You can't really you can't really assume that you will launch something on Kickstarter and it will just blow up and become, the headline the next day. Like it just doesn't, like, it happens, but it just doesn't happen all the time. And you can't really think that, that you would be able to do that. So, and another thing is what keeps us going on instead of, a lot of people, as they go on and they would, lose their interest, and they would forget what they started, how they, why they wanted to do this in the first place. They were just trying to keep the business running, especially now, right? Now people are out of money, they're looking for help, they're looking for the fun, but so they, it becomes a burden. So at that point, there's no point to really hold on to anything anymore, because it's not what you wanted to do originally. So we try to be, better at it. Always remember why I started, what I like, how you feel about your product. Because if you don't love your product, you can't really expect other people to love it. Especially at trade shows. When you talk to people about your product, you want to show people how you feel about it, instead of just trying to sell or and trying to make it work. So for us too, right now, it's a really difficult time. Our sales is down, especially wholesale. It's probably down by 90% because all the stores are closed. It's scary, but it doesn't, as the founder, as the owners of the business, we can't really, we need to try to stay positive. When we want to think over, we want to think, okay, what's after? Like, this thing is temporary. Like, I truly believe, like, even though it seems to be the end of the world, it will pass. It's gonna pass. So we need to think, what we're gonna do after. That's why I talk about the relationships with our customers, but also our supplies too. We are still talking to our manufacturing channel. We still have POs with them in the production, because we want to be ready when things are back on. And so a lot of these things, I think people just sometimes need to take a step back, take a moment, and think about everything. What are you trying to, like, why are you doing all these? If you go to work, you talk to employees, are you really doing what you truly believe in?
I couldn't have found a better way to close. That's a great closing, Jean. Where can everyone follow you, and where can they connect with you?
For me personally, or
you or your business, either one, whatever you want to plug.
I'm really not I'm not Elon Musk or Donald Trump. I don't or but yeah, our company is www.qbottle.com, and on there you can find, we have a press media contact. It's just press at qbottle.com, or if you have general questions, you just email hi@qbottle.com. For me, you can reach me at partnerships@qbottle.com, because I handle the brick and mortar partnerships and wholesale. So if you have questions about the product, the pricing, wholesale, and distribution, feel free to email me. And and our Instagram is qbottle. So just at qbottle.
Thank you so much for doing it.
Sure.
And we wrapped up in under 40 minutes. So